I'm talking about those scams. I want to hear.
So, so I really appreciate
You see, you
I really appreciate all of you being here and this last masterclass of the year. And I hope that it's going to be truly amazing. You know, we're just a few here, so we're going to have like a party between all of us here. And today we're talking about how to make your money work for you, and it's going to be very interactive. So if you have a question, do pop it in the chat so that I can help you as much as possible. And to even help you further, anyone who stays to the end, I will give you my email address. You can book a free call with me, and I'm going to help you personally with regards to your own financial goals. I will help you, I'll give you a 30 minutes free map out of what you can do. So if that sounds good, stay to the end. Just for those who turned up live, as you know, as a reward, I'll give you my email address. You book a time with me, and then we will go through this together. We'll have 30 minutes in-depth one-on-one, just you and me. How does that sound? Trust it sounds fantastic, right? Okay, let's get started. So how to make your money work for you in 2021. We're a large group of people. We have different money goals. We have different things that we're doing, and I'm going to break this down into 5 main steps. Now, some of these steps might concern you. Some of them might not involve you, because everyone's wealth building journey is completely unique. You cannot say, this is how this person built wealth, so I'm going to do the same thing. And if you did, it might not even work for you. Some people built wealth in property. And if you try building your wealth in property, you'd find that, it might flop. Some people built wealth in their careers. And if you stayed in your career, because you might not even like it, it might not work for you. So everyone's wealth building journey is completely unique. And so how you're going to do yours is going to be completely different from how I'm doing mine, right? So you have to accept that. So we're not all running the same race. We're all running individual races. It's very different from everyone. When I speak to my clients one-on-one, all their wealth building journeys are completely different. They have completely different goals, and they have completely different paths, because we have individual strengths. Some of us are really good at talking to people, and therefore that might be so therefore their path could involve something like that. But some of them prefer are more introverted. They're more prefer to be on their own, so their path is going to be completely different as well. So I just want to let you know, I'm going to share 5 main steps with you, but again, know that your journey is going to be completely different to someone else's journey, right? It's not going to be completely the same. So just before we start, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Elizabeth Bukor. I'm the founder of Wealth from Little, and here I help female professionals and entrepreneurs change the way they think about money so they can start building wealth using biblical principles. And I'm so glad that you're all here. It's the end of the year, and so we'll just get started. Welcome to those who joined: Bridget, Eniola, anybody else who joined who I missed. Yomi, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, first up, and I'm going to be quick so that we can end on time, and then I want to also leave time for questions at the end. I want to leave time for you guys to ask me questions. First step, we're going to talk about credit, then we're going to talk about your money past, then we're going to talk about your money's future, we're going to talk about saving, and then we're going to end it up with investing, increasing your mindset, increasing your earning potential, and finally the 7th step is money mindset. Sorry, did I say 5? There are 7 steps. So I'm talking about 7 steps. First is going to be your credit, then it's going to be your money past, your money future, saving, investing, increasing your earning potential, and your money mindset. Right. Okay. So let's get started. Let me just check if there's anyone. Okay. So let's get started. So first, we're talking about credit. Now, credit, your credit score is basically a number that financial institutions give you so that they can determine how good of a borrower you are. So it's important to know that it's a score given to determine how good of a borrower you are. It has no reflection of your earning potential or your earning ability. It has no reflection on your ability to make money. It has a reflection purely on how good you are at borrowing money, how good of a borrowing money you are. So if you never intend to borrow money, then your credit score is irrelevant. But if you do intend to borrow money, then it can be quite important. So, and many people are quite confused as to what makes up this number. How do they make it up? And to be honest, it's not completely clear, but we do have a very good idea. So 35% of your credit score is attributed to your payment history, and that is a huge percentage. So that is how quickly you pay off your credit bills. And so it's any money you've borrowed. Credit is any money you've borrowed, which is like credit cards, loan repayments back to the bank if you have a loan, payments of your, like if you have store cards, payments of store cards, payments of credit cards, payments of any money that is not yours that you borrowed, basically. So, and that is that is what I mean by credit. And it's very interesting. You know, I was thinking about this the other day, and let me know in the chat if you find that it's very interesting. That when you want to borrow money, so the money is not yours, it's someone else's, it belongs to the bank or it belongs to someone else. You want to borrow money, they call it credit, right? You have credit, you can borrow money. But once you borrow it, they call it debt. It was I found that very interesting because, you know, they both have different connotations. When you hear credit, you think something positive. Oh, I'm in credit. Oh, I have money. Oh, my whatever is in credit. You feel like you have something. And then when you hear the word debt, it kind of fills you with fear, doesn't it? It kind of fills you, let me know if it's just me, kind of fills you with fear, like, oh, you owe something. Someone's going to come and get you. But it's exactly the same thing. And if they called it debt from the beginning, your debt score or your debt card, like you got a credit card and they said, this is your debt card, how many people would be willing to go and get that? How many people would be willing to go and take that card, your debt card, and swipe it and say, yeah, I want to use my debt card to buy that, you know, chocolate bar. It's interesting. And I know that, you know, financial institutions use these words strategically so that they can get us to spend more money. You're right. Yeah, exactly. It should be called a debt card, because if everyone was calling it a debt card, then you would know from the beginning that, oh, I don't have this money, I'm going in debt. But they call it credit card, and credit is so positive because if your energy company called you and said you're £10 in credit, you know you have £10 extra on your account. So they think, oh, you have 20,000 credit card or a credit limit, and then you feel like you have that money. Anyway, so that's very interesting. And I'm glad that some of you have put in the chat that you know you can see that change in terminology can really affect the way we think about that card. So yeah, so your credit card, 35% of it is on how quickly you pay off your card. So if you spend, so obviously, you know, you have like a you every month, if you use your credit card or you use your loans, you have to repay a certain amount every month. You can pay all in full. The verbiage is meant to entice. Exactly. Verbiage is meant to entice. Exactly, Joanne. You're so right. It's exactly, that's what it's meant to entice you. So if you pay off your card in full, or if you pay off the required minimum, then your payment history is intact. So you're paying the right amount every time. But if you miss a payment date, even by 1 day, like you forgot, you were going to do it and you did it later, that will really affect your credit score, and it has a huge effect. So then the next thing is your credit age. That is the next biggest thing that would affect your credit score. Your credit age is like, I call it like if you're a credit baby. So you haven't had a credit card before, you don't have credit history, and you just got one today, and then you may find that your score is really low, even though you have no debt, so sometimes, that can also affect that. Then the next thing that would affect it is credit utilization. That's actually is actually the second highest. So that is how much of your credit limit you're using. So if you have a limit of like £10,000, if you max out the 10,000 every month, then that can have an effect on your credit score as well. But if, and rule of thumb is that you should always use less than 30%. So if you have a card that is 10,000, try and use less than 3,000 on the card, and then, till you pay off and go on like that. But that's not always possible for those who have, huge cards like that. But that's the kind of thing that could help increase your credit score, keeping your credit utilization under 30%. And if you have any questions, you're confused about anything, drop it in the chat, because like I said last week, information without understanding is useless. I don't just want to give you information. I want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. Okay, the next thing that could affect it is like the mix of credit, like where the loans are from, what you owe, where it's originating from. So some credit can be seen as more high risks than the other. So that credit mix can affect your credit score. Another thing that can affect it in the UK is being on the electoral register. Actually, I found that out the hard way. I was wondering why my credit score a couple of years ago was not as high as expected it to be, or more than a couple of years ago. But I realized that it's because I had not registered on the electoral register. We had just moved and I had not registered, and that affected it. When I registered, within a month, it had gone up like 100 points. So that was quite interesting. And then if you have any new credit that you've added, so you've added a new loan to your name, that can also affect your credit score. So those are the main 5-6 main things that will affect your credit score. And if you can, when you work on that, it should improve. So you can check your credit score in a couple of main places. So Equifax and Experian are the two most popular places. Callcredit is also another popular place in the UK. In America, if anyone is American here, FICO, you can check your credit score with FICO. So when you check it, you log in, you can put in some details. Make sure that, if you're signed up for like a 14-day free package, you make sure that you cancel you cancel before the 14 days is over, or otherwise they'll charge you. And then you can check what your score is. And then you can start thinking of which of these things that I've mentioned you could improve to try and make your credit score better. Again, your credit score is a debt score. It's how good you are at borrowing money. And then, so after that, we're going to now talk about debt. So if you do have debt and you want to repay off your debt slightly faster, I'm going to talk about 3 main ways you could do it. First main way is what I call the whenever method. So that means whenever you have some money, you just pay it off, right? There's no real plan to it. It's like go with the flow. If you have some money and you feel like paying it off, you pay it off. The second method is the snowball method, which means that you actually pay off your debt. You arrange your debt in order. So if you have multiple, so this works well with those who have multiple debts. So if you have multiple credit cards, you have multiple loans and stuff like that, you arrange it in order from smallest to largest. So if you owe £100 on a card, that's the smallest. And then maybe you owe 200 on another card, then you owe 300 on an overdraft, then you owe 500 in a loan, and then you owe 1,000 in maybe another loan. So you arrange it from the smallest loan amount or debt amount to the largest, and you pay off the smallest debt amount first. When you pay that off, you pay off that £100. If it was the smallest was £100, you pay that off first. Once you pay that off, you transfer the £100 that you are paying on that first loan debt amount to the second. So you don't relax and say, oh, okay, now that I've paid off the first, I can chill out a bit. So you just keep on that momentum. So you say, okay, I was paying £100 for this, and then I transfer it to the second. At the same time, you are paying minimums on all your debts, at least. You're paying at least the minimums on all the debts. So you're paying minimums on all the debts, but for the first one, you put extra focus on the first, and then you try and clear that off first. So if, let's say the first was not £100, let's say the smallest amount is £1,000, so slightly more. Maybe your minimums is £100 on all your debts. Let's say, just to make it easy, your minimums is £100 on all your debts. Your smallest amount debt is 1,000. So you pay minimums on all the 5 debts, and then you pay minimums on the first one as well, £100. But then you increase that. Maybe you try and increase it by as much as you can. Maybe now you're paying 200 for the first debt only. So, and then after 5 months, you're able to clear that first debt. So now that you've cleared that first debt, that 200 that you are paying every month to as the first debt, you add it to the second debt. So you're still paying 100 minimum, whatever the minimums are on the other 3, and then you take the 200 on the first to the second. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if it makes sense, and then I'll move on. And then so now that's, instead of, for the second debt, you're now paying 200 plus 100. And then when that is cleared off, you add that 300 that you are paying there to the fourth debt, right? And then so that debt is now 100, which was the minimum, plus the 300 that you are paying for the third debt. You add it to that. So now you're paying 400. And then you add, when that is paid off, you add that 400 to the 5th debt. And that's the quickest way to clear off your debt with the snowball method. Snowball method is good if you lack motivation. So you want to see a quick win, because you pay off that small debt first, and your brain sees that you've won something, you've done a quick win, and it infuses you with like dopamine, which makes you really happy, and therefore it encourages you internally, like, oh, I did this, so I can do the next one. However, because if your debts are, if the largest debt is the biggest credit card and it has the highest percentage, you might be paying more in fees in this way. But it still works because you have that momentum and you have that encouragement to keep paying it off. Now, the third way is the avalanche method. And the avalanche method is you arrange your debt in order of the highest interest rate first. So whichever, doesn't matter how much they are. If the 5,000, maybe the biggest debt it has the highest interest rate, you put that first and you pay that one off first. Then you pay off the one with the next highest interest rate and the one with the next highest interest rate. And that way you pay off the least amount. You pay off the least, you pay the least amount in interest, in extra fees that you would have paid to the bank or to the financial lender. So that is the difference. Do you see the difference? But with that one, because you're paying the highest, you have to be self-motivated. So you have to make sure that you keep going. Consistency is really the key in all this, because this is the most important factor, that you stick to it, you make a plan, decide how much you're going to pay. In addition to the minimums, you're always paying minimums on all of them, so you don't default. You decide how much you're going to pay in addition to the minimum to the first one. This time for the avalanche is going to be the highest interest rate. Then once you've cleared that, which is the highest interest rate, you now transfer that money to the second one. And then you do the same thing like you did the snowball. So that's credit. Does that make sense? Any questions before we move on to the next step? Yeah, okay. So moving on to the next step. Next step is your money past, right? So we've done credit and debt. Now we're talking about your money past. So your money past is knowing exactly what your money has been doing. And it might feel like, oh, I don't know because I can't remember, but it's important to just take some time to actually think about it and make a note. So just get a pen and paper. Even you can do it right now, actually. Get a pen and paper. And I know I told you all to bring pens and paper, so you have that. Get a pen and paper and write down in the last 30 days. If you can go back 60, if you can go back 90 days, you check your bank statements, check receipts, check anything. What have you been spending your money on? And see where your money has actually been going. And then have an idea, like, are you happy with where your money has been going? It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong. Just ask yourself, like, are you happy with it? Like, and if you are, then that's okay. If you're not, then maybe you want to change something, right? So make a list of where your money has been going for the last 30 days, 60 days, 90, as far back as you can go, and know that. Now, you know, the most important things for your money to go to are what we call your 4 walls. So your 4 walls are your shelter, so your accommodation, that means your rent, your mortgage, right? Then your utilities, so your electricity, your water, your gas, food, right? So to keep you alive, food, grocery bills, and then transportation. Right now, we're not going that many places, but transportation to get you to work, transportation to get you to the grocery store and stuff. So like if you have a car, your fuel. So those are your main 4 walls, and those 4 walls have to be protected for you to continue to live a good and healthy life. Now, when I say those are the main and most important, and those are your essential expenses, right? When I say that now, if you are earning a certain amount and you are living in a place that is way too expensive for your income, then you need to, you know, your 4 walls is like, maybe it's a bit too expensive for where you are right now. So it's important to check that what you're paying in bills is, you know, is affordable for what you know, how much you have right now. So those 4 walls are the most important things anyway, and you need to protect them, right? So that's your shelter, your utilities, your food, and your transportation, right? So you know where your money goes, and those are your 4 essential bills, right? And so your money is going to go there as well. And then we're going to start looking at your money future at the same time, which is the 3rd step. So it's going to, the step 2 and 3 kind of intertwine. So step 3 now says looking at your money future. So now also make a list of, like, for January 2021, where do you want your money to go, right? Where do you want your money to go? How do you want your money to behave in January 2021? So you know you're going to spend your money on your 4 walls again, right? And of course, like, you have to look at for yourself how much you're spending on your 4 walls. And then you are going to also probably spend a bit on some non-essential bills. So write down everything, and if you do have debt, where that is going as well, you know, how much you're going to spend on your debt, how much you're going to spend on your 4 walls, and also how much you're going to spend, you know, if you give to charity, how much you're spending for that, and how much you're spending for yourself. So what I mean by that is how much you're going to save for your future, which is how much you're going to pay yourself out of, you know, the income that you have every month. So it's very interesting that okay, Joanna, I'll say the 4 walls in a minute. It's very interesting that we find it so easy to pay our bills, our 4 walls, which is our shelter, accommodation, or our mortgage. We find it easy to pay our utilities bills. That's, you know, bills towards our gas, electricity, maybe broadband, water. We find it easy to pay food, you know, what we're going to eat to keep ourselves healthy. And we find it easy to pay for our transportation. That's maybe our car, our petrol, diesel, or even, you know, travel card. But we find it hard to pay ourselves. And that is the next thing. Ourselves, paying yourself. In fact, it's so important, because the amount of money you earn every month, if you don't put any aside for yourself, then you didn't earn anything. You literally just got money in, and you're just a transfer delivery center, money in and money out. So when you get money in, some is meant for you. And that amount that is meant for you, that you save for yourself, is what you actually earned, what you actually paying yourself. Now, I'll give you an example. We breathe air. Air is important. We know air is important. We need air, oxygen for our brains to work. We need oxygen for our hearts to work, oxygen to breathe, oxygen to live, for all our organs, everything. We need oxygen. So we breathe air every day, and we breathe air in, and we breathe air out, right? So we breathe air in. some oxygen stays in our bloodstream, right? And then we breathe out carbon dioxide, right? We breathe some out, right? We don't breathe out everything that we breathe in. We breathe in, we keep some inside, and we breathe out. And it's the same with money. You take some, you earn some money, some will go out, but you do have to keep some. And I work with my clients and we aim to save 10% of our income, at least 10%. And if that is too much for you, you can start at 1%, save 1%. If you can live on 100% of your income, you can live on 99. Literally, you can. If you can live on 100%, you can live on 99. 1% wouldn't make a difference. So you can start by saving 1% and you save that in a savings account, not in your current account. It has to be a separate savings account where you take the money and you put it there. Okay, so now we're talking about your money past. We've talked about money past, where your money has been going. And we're talking about your money future, where you want your money to go, right? The plan that you have for your money. And that plan should be based around what you value. Now, what I mean by what you value is, and you guys can share with me in the chat if you want, and I can give you some more actual examples. But what you value, if you value good health, right? Then you probably spend more, you probably want to make sure that you're spending money on drinking healthy food, eating healthy food, drinking healthy drink, water, having vitamins, eating balanced meals rather than foods that will, be detrimental to your health. I'll give you an example. I'm now trying to get really healthy, but I used to love sugar. Really love sugar a lot. Now, if I go to the shops, I probably would want to buy loads of chocolates and cakes and biscuits, and I love cakes. But I know that that's not extremely healthy, so I try to avoid it. I give in here and there, don't get me wrong, but I do try to avoid it as best as possible. So now if I'm spending based on my values and I go to the shop and I'm going to spend 20 pounds, if I spend 20 pounds with 10 pounds on chocolate and biscuits and cakes, like an ice cream, all the things that I love to eat, that is not great for my teeth and it's not great for my health, neither is it great for my brain, all these sugar foods that I love to eat, and I spend 10 pounds on maybe bread and jam and maybe some bananas. And then I think, okay, I spent 20 pounds. I just spent 20 pounds. So that's okay. And someone else goes to the shop and they spend 20 pounds and they spent it on maybe loads and loads of fruits and, bread and eggs and butter and milk and a bunch of different things. And then you say, oh, you spent too much. You don't need all that stuff. The difference is that person probably spend more on what they value. They value health. They're spending on, good quality food, whereas I'm spending on like food that is actually going to hurt my body constantly eating all these sweet things. For me, I don't know about you, but for me, constantly eating all these sweet things, I have such a sweet tooth, Joanne. Yeah, constantly eating all these sweet things hurts my body, hurts my brain. It actually does give me a lot of headaches. So I know, like, when I'm spending money in terms of looking at my values, I am looking at what exactly I value. And I have to think about that. For me, it's good health. For me, it's, I value having high energy. That's something else that I value. And I have to take that into consideration when I am looking at my diet and spending money with regards to food shopping. Another thing that, another thing that we spend on, I don't know, maybe you want to buy something for yourself and you want to buy something, maybe it's Christmas, right? We're shopping for Christmas. And we feel tempted to buy so much stuff right now. And again, looking at your values is really important here. Because why do you want to buy all this stuff that you want to buy? And I don't know what you're trying to buy. Maybe you're buying milk. Maybe it's really important. Maybe you're buying chicken. That's really important to eat. But maybe you're buying something else, right? That might not be that important. You can decide, why do you want to buy what you want to buy? It's so important to ask yourself why. What do you see yourself doing with that thing? What do you expect to have from doing that, from buying that thing? I'll tell you how I used to feel about buying gifts. but especially during Christmas, I used to buy gifts for people, and I used to buy gifts for like lots of my family members. And I'd love to buy gifts for people because I love how I feel when they receive it, right? And I love that feeling of, oh wow, you got me this gift. Like, they probably don't remember like a year later, but at that point, it fed my ego, right? It fed my ego that I'm being seen as someone who is generous. I'm being seen as someone who is giving, right? And I'm being seen as someone who is loving or something like that. And that was the motive of the gift giving. It had nothing to do with, oh, this person really needs this, so I want to bless them with this thing. And so motives are really important. So understanding why you give something is very important. You know, even the Bible talks about when you're giving, God looks at the heart, right? If you give 2 pence and you're giving it, and versus someone who gives 1,000, you know, whatever your currency is, and one gives 2 pence of whatever your currency is, God looks at the heart. So just because you give a lot, you might not, doesn't mean that you get a blessing, right? Sometimes we're giving just to get human accolades. That definitely used to be me. And so knowing what you value. So do I truly value myself being propped up like, oh, this person gave me this gift? No, I really don't, because that's not going to put food on my table. Neither is it going to put money in my pocket. And by looking at that, I was able to be honest with myself that, okay, what do I value most? Especially like, just because we're in Christmas, I'll talk about that. And I do value spending time with my family. I value spending time with my kids. I value them enjoying themselves and, you know, being in a great mood and being happy and just that family feeling. And so that's what I focus on. I focus on being present. So not like, you know, being on my phone and just like, oh, well, I've given them gifts, so they should be appreciative. And then I'm just like spending the rest of my Christmas on my phone, taking selfies. Or I actually value being present. So like, you know, being involved in conversations, being engaged in conversation, actually listening, actually hearing, actually connecting with people heart to heart. And I found that was that's probably priceless compared to, you know, buying them and thinking about that they're not going to use again next year. So with regards to spending and spending mindfully, you're trying to, first, you want to know why you're spending. And for many people, there are so many reasons. Mine was ego, but for others, you can be compensating for something. Sometimes you don't even know why you're spending because you haven't taken the time to think about why, but really think about why you are spending the money that you spend. And it has nothing to do with how much you have. So if you say, I'm spending it because I have £1 million in my bank, so I'm spending $500,000, it doesn't matter. Just be honest with yourself. Even if you're going to do that, be honest with yourself as to why you are doing that. Because being comfortable having money, and what I mean by having money is having money in your bank and not feeling the need to give it away. Many of us are uncomfortable having money. So once we see that money in our bank, we're like, why is this money here? Okay, who can I give it to? Who can I give it to? I don't want this money here. Literally, that's how we are behaving. Although in reality, we're like, oh, I've got so much money. Okay, let's go shopping today. Let's go this, let's go that. Let's go online. Let's buy something I wasn't planning on buying, neither do I need. So we have to be comfortable having money. And that is very important because we're going on to our next step. And being able to have money, see the money, and not feel the need to kick that money out is so important. So the next step is okay, we talked a little bit about saving, and we're going to talk about saving to invest. But before I go there, I'm going to just give a little analogy. So every time I'm, in my business, we talk about your relationship with money. We always talk about your relationship with money, right? And I want you to take just 2 seconds to think about your relationship with money. Just think about your relationship with money. If you are an employer, you work you have people working for you. Think about money as your boss, your employee, right? How would you treat your employee. Like if your employee was coming to work and you didn't know what that person was doing, maybe they were doing what they wanted, they weren't doing what they wanted, how would that affect your business? If they weren't doing what you told them to do, yes, you have a list of tasks. Employee, money, you are supposed to do A, you're supposed to do B, you're supposed to do C. And at the end of the month, you look back and you see that your employee didn't do any of the things you set for them. They did something completely different that doesn't improve your business, and it actually hurts your business. Would you keep that employee on your payroll? Let me know in the chat. Will you keep that employee on your payroll? And that's kind of relationship that a lot of us have with money. Like, exactly, we don't know what our money is doing. We let it do what it wants. And then at the end of the month, when we don't have enough, because it's affecting our business, we are the business, it's affecting our business. And then we still leave that employee to still keep doing the same thing every month, year after year, year after year, with no reprimanding, no caution, no bringing the employee into HR, no, and what happens is eventually, if we leave that employee doing the things that they want to do, it will reflect on you as a CEO of your business, which is your life, and it will really have a negative effect on that. And eventually, everything might be taken from you because that, the money just in your employee as money just keeps doing what they want. I'll give you another example. Let's say you're not an employer, but you have friends. You have friends. So let's look at money as your friend, your best friend. How would your relationship be with money as your best friend? If money was your best friend and you don't talk to it, you don't check up on it, you don't know what it's doing, you don't care what it's doing. In fact, when it's time it sends you a letter, maybe, the bank sends you a letter telling you what's your credit statement or your bank statement or how much you owe or what, something like that, or a bill. You get a letter from money and you don't want to see the letter. You don't want to open it. So you just hide it away. You're like, okay, I'm not looking at it. How would that friend feel? If money was supposed to be your best friend, yet you treat it like your worst enemy, you treat it like someone you are avoiding. And then whenever you actually finally get some money and both of you are, hanging out, the first thing you want to do is take that money, your best friend, to the mall and give it away and say, we've been friends for 5 minutes and I really don't want you anymore. I'd rather have that top. So I'm going to give you to this person because I think that person will be a better friend to you, and I'm going to have that top instead. We keep on exchanging money for things that we don't really want. And sometimes we want them, but in the cases where we don't really want it, we exchange money for that. And so if money was your best friend, would they keep coming to you if you treated money like this? And then maybe you open up your wallet. Let's see if you still have wallets. And you open up your wallet and then your wallet is filled with money that is scrunched up and totally disrespected. You have receipts everywhere. You buy something, you want to return it. You don't even know where the receipt is. You're looking through your bag and it's all such a mess. There's coins here. There's coins under the bed. There's coins in the corner. And you think, oh, I might have some money here. You don't even know where the money is. And that's supposed to be your friend. Like, if you were the friend, I think you would reevaluate your relationship, would you? Let me know in the chat. If you were a friend and you were treated like that, you were never spoken to, no one ever looked at you, when it was time for you to do what you were supposed to do, and someone was supposed to take you there, someone was supposed to take you to pay the bills, you were ignored, letters from you were hidden, you were dirty, rubbed up, just disrespected constantly, you probably wouldn't want to go to that person anymore. And that's kind of how our relationship is with money sometimes for some of us, right? and then we say, oh, we don't want to look at it because we're scared, and then maybe you're supposed to fix your relationship. You want to fix your relationship, but you're too scared to fix it. You're too worried. Oh gosh, how about if it doesn't work? How about if it doesn't work, I'll continue mistreating my money anyway, because if I treat it well and it doesn't respond to me the way I expect it to, then things won't work out and we will still get divorced. So I'm just not going to worry about it. So that's sometimes a way that, I'm ready to, exactly, treat it with love and respect, and more money will come to you. Okay, so I'm going to move quickly on to saving to invest, right? So saving alone is not enough. So it's important to save, very important to save, but saving alone is not enough. To build wealth, you need to be able to invest it. And there are different ways of investing. Investing basically means, putting your money in a vehicle that will ensure that money is working so hard and it will bring more money to you, right? So it's like putting if you use my employee analogy, putting that employee to work and making it work so hard that it will go out and bring more employees, that you have to keep on hiring more people to do the work because, there's so much work going on, like businesses that expand. And then also, if you're thinking of friendship, have you imagine having a friend that treats you so well, and that friend keeps telling other people, oh, my best friend Elizabeth treats me so well. She's always taking care of me. She's always looking out for me. She's always speaking to me. People will start thinking that, oh, wow, she's a great friend. And you'll find out that you actually have more friends. More friends will start, people start, and then as more friends come to you and you treat them well, they'll stay. They'll stick around. They'll continue to be your friend. And then years later, they're still your friend, and then you have more friends. And, if money was your friend, that's it. You keep on having more money. So, and that's what investing really is. And I'm going to just share 3 main ways that you can invest. 3 main investing vehicles. One is investing via the stock market. The other is investing in like real estate, property, like actually buying homes or buying property. And the third is via a business, right? So investing in the stock market, if you have a pension, you're already investing in the stock market, right? And I'm sure, I hope we all have pensions, right? If you have a pension, you're already investing in the stock market. And if you don't, you can set up a pension for yourself. I have a personal pension because I don't have an employer. So I have my own pension that I set up privately. So you can set up your own pension privately, and you can do that through brokerage firms. As I told you, any one of you who are here, we can have a chat about this one-on-one. At the end of this call, I'll give you my email address and you can book a call with me where we can talk about this one-on-one, what is specific for you. But so first is via the stock market. And if you don't invest in a pension, another thing that you could do is invest in stocks and shares ISA, right? Or for your child, a junior ISA, a junior stocks and shares ISA, if it's for a child. Here in the UK. In other countries, there are other very similar vehicles as well to invest in the stock market. The benefits of investing in the stock market is that you can start with very little cash. You put that money in the stock market, and what it means that you buy, when you buy stocks, you buy a piece of a company. You buy a piece of the company, and as the company improves, you get rewarded with a share of the profit. Apart from buying stocks in one company, you can also buy stocks in multiple companies at the same time. And that is investing in funds. So a fund is where a fund will have multiple companies from maybe 100, 1,000, 10,000, 8,000 companies, maybe. You can have all those companies together in a particular fund. And then when you spend £10 on that fund, you are buying a tiny piece, a fraction of a share of every piece of the company. So as as the company improves and grows, you get a reward, you get a share of the profit, directly proportional to the amount of money that you're invested, so the amount of shares that you have in that company. And then obviously buying property is another great way. You can invest in, but income, different income generating types of properties you can invest in. Buy to lets, you can invest, now there are even rent to rent kind of methods. There are about 14 different methods that you can invest in, where you can use to invest in property. About 14 different methods. And then the last bit is investing via a business. And that can be you buying a business and then running it, or you starting a business and then running it. And with running a business, it might take there might be a lag period initially. And but after a while, if you are running a profitable business in a profitable way, you should start seeing that you're able to increase your income much faster. And then you have that money from that income, and then you use that to invest in something else, a different vehicle that you can use to grow your money. In terms of returns, like returns in investing, if you invest in the stock market, the biggest variable is time. So if you invest for a long time, you can get a lot more money than if you invest for a shorter period of time, because of the power of compound interest. And I think I've shared that about compound interest with you before. If not, I will share with you a link to a blog where I explained all about that, so I don't talk too much about that right now. But if we use, on average, there is between 8 and 12% return on the stock market. Let's go with 8 to be conservative. And so you can start investing every year. And if you invest every year for like 30 years, maybe £500 every month, every year for about 30 years, you most likely end up with a 7-figure net worth. And then in property, it's probably a bit faster, because property tends to increase in equity much faster than the stock market, but then it's dependent on your geographical location. So you have to bear that in mind. And we've done a property masterclass, in fact, 2. So you can also watch that back and get even deeper understanding on that. So obviously it depends on the location, and it depends on the economic climate at that time. So right now we're in Corona, that will affect property markets. Also, right now, if you're investing in a city like London, you're buying property in a city like London, the prices will go up much different to a village, right? If you're investing in a village, right? Okay. And then investing in your business, obviously, the big determination in how much you earn in your business is you. And that's something that people don't really tell you, right? That you determine how much you make in your business. So if you decide that in 10 years you want to make $1 million, or in 10 years you want to make 100,000, that is what you're going to make, because then you can do steps to engineer backwards how you're going to get to that million, or how you're going to get to that 100,000. So those are the three main ways. There's some other ways that you can invest as well, but we'll just stay with those 3 main ways. And then number 6 is increasing your earning potential. Now, I believe so much in increasing your earning potential, because right now with, financial education, everyone talks about cutting back. And don't get me wrong, cutting back is, in some cases, is essential, but there are some people who have already cut back and there's nothing else to cut except their arm or their leg, right? And there's nothing else to cut. So when there's nothing else to cut, what do you do? What do you do when there's nothing else to cut? And I believe that is an indication that you have to increase your earning potential. And you have to, and there are different ways you can do that. But the best way that I find is to focus on your talents and your passions and things that you're naturally gifted at. Now, you might decide, oh, what am I naturally gifted at? How do I make money from that? It might not seem clear to you, because, for example, if you are 70 and you're naturally gifted in dancing, it might not make any sense for you. Like, how do I make money from dancing? Because I like dancing, I like boogieing in parties, I like playing, and I'm 70. So what does that mean? And I get that. I totally get that. And, time is gone. And I believe that utilizing your passion and having and having a vision for yourself is a whole different topic that one has to go through. But there are ways when you actually, and something that I do with my clients, we actually, and for those who don't know what they're passionate about, who don't know what they like doing or how they can make money from what they enjoy doing, we go back to like the vision for yourself. Where do you see yourself? And you have to be able to write this down. Don't just think about it, write down your vision for yourself. Like, where is it that, what's that assignment for your life? What's that purpose for your life? What is it that you see yourself doing? It doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be like grand or majestic. It can be hazy and cloudy as you want it to be. And then from that step, you start thinking about, okay, so how am I going to get there? Like, so you have your vision, and then, like, how am I going to get there? What can I do to achieve this thing? And you might find, okay, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. And, I can't give clear, let me try and give a clear example. Vision for your life. Maybe you see yourself, you know that you want to support a big vision. You want to support like children in a certain country or in a third world country. You want to support orphans. You want to support single mothers, maybe, and you want to support maybe hundreds or millions of them and stuff like that. Okay, so how do you want to get there, right? There are different ways. You're either going to need a lot of money to get, like, the three main resources that we have access to is that there are more than this, but three main is time, money, or energy, right? Let's focus on those three. So those three are the three main resources that you have access to right now, even though you have a big vision, right? And so you have this vision and you're like, how do I achieve this goal? This is what I want to do. This is maybe my life's purpose. I want to help millions of kids do something great, maybe. And it might be even simple. I just want to take care of my mother and father. I want to pay off their debts, and I want them to enjoy the rest of their life in peace. Maybe that's the goal. Both are huge goals anyway. And so from there, you walk backwards to what can I do? What can I do to get me there? And give yourself opportunity to write down 30 things that you can do to get you there. Now, the first 5 will come easy, most likely. And, but it's when you get to 10, you start to struggle, like, okay, great. When you get to 10, you can start to struggle to think about what you can do differently, what you can do, how you can do things to get to that, to get to that vision. And then, but keep going. When you get to 15, it's going to be hard. You're going to feel the pain. Like, my brain can't think of anything else. Keep going. When you get to 20, you're going to definitely feel the pain. It's going to be like, you're going to even feel like I'm writing rubbish now. Honestly, I'm writing rubbish. This doesn't even make sense. Now I'm going to feed frogs or something ridiculous. It doesn't matter. Keep going. You're stretching your brain. You're expanding your brain. You're literally causing your brain to think in a different way. So you keep going all the way to 30. Trust me on this. And then once you get to 30, now start writing all the reasons why you think that you can't do those things, because they're all going to come up, right? Because you know that if you start doing anything, all the reasons why you can't do it is going to come up. So write it down. Let's get it over and done with early, right? So write it down. All the reasons why you can't do any of the things that you've listed that you can do. And then the next step is to write down all the reasons why you can do all the things. Because the Bible has already told us that we can do all things to Christ who strengthens us. So we know that we can't do all things, but we may not choose to do all things, right? You may choose to do something in particular over something else. Okay, so just get those steps done. And then if you don't know what you'd like, you don't know what you want to be doing, you don't know how you want to increase your potential, right? Apart from that, there are other ways, you can increase your earning potential. And a bunch of businesses. In fact, I'm going to send you a list of about maybe 50 different business ideas that might juggle you. I'm going to send that to everyone here once. So yeah, send me your email. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Send me send me an email saying I attended as your title. And then I'm going to put my email in the chat at the end, and I'm going to send it to those who send me the email so I don't spam you, right? So the final step, just before we end, is already 12. Can you imagine? The final step is the way we think about money. The way we think about money is so important. And I've broken this down into 10 steps, 10 things that we can do to change the way that we think about money. But I know, we all know, it's not that easy to change the way you think about money, right? Because you've been thinking about money like this for so long. How on earth am I going to tell you to change it today and it's going to change automatically? Yeah, it's not. But it's, but as you keep doing it over and over, it will change gradually. The way we think about money is important to know that it's a habit. We have a habit of thinking about whatever we think about in a certain way. When you come to any conclusion in life, any conclusion, a conclusion about the way your kids dress, a conclusion about the way someone spoke to you, a conclusion about the way you do business, a conclusion about the way food tastes, any conclusion, like it can literally be anything. A conclusion about how the government is running the country, a conclusion about how you are as a parent. Know that all those conclusions are based on the illusion of how we are thinking. So if you are thinking a certain way, you're going to have a completely different response to someone who thinks a different way. The Bible says in Proverbs that as a man thinks, so is he. And so is he in his, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he, is the, full verse. And what that means is, if you are thinking, if you see, if something happens and you see that as an opportunity to grow, you see that as an opportunity to do something better, or someone else sees that, maybe let's give an example. I'm looking out my window right now and I have a huge tree. Let's say thunder strikes, the tree falls down and blocks the road. So it's now like an obstacle. Cars now start coming and they're like, oh my gosh, this is an obstacle. I can't get to where I want to go. So therefore, I can't go where I want to go anymore. So it's an obstacle. Someone else may come and say, and they may be angry, like, this is terrible. And someone else may come down the road and see that tree and say, wow, okay, I need to get to this place. How do I get there? And then they start thinking differently. They start thinking, how do I get there? And they turn around and they find a different route and they figure it out. And with our money, it's the same thing. And our habits is the same thing. We are used to thinking in a certain way because that's the habit. If you're used to complaining when things happen that you don't like, then that's exactly what you're going to do first. If you're used to finding solutions, that's exactly what you're going to do first. If you're used to finding reasons why you can't take the solutions that you find, and that's exactly what you're going to do first, right? So we will just keep following the pattern that we have already developed. And you can know your pattern easily if you just see it. How you do anything is how you do everything. So you just think about any other obstacle in your life and how you handle it. And then, then think about your money and think, do I handle my money in exactly the same way? You might find that it might be similar. Okay, I'll give you some quick steps to improve your money mindset before we go. First, one, like I said, you do have to have a vision of where you want to go. The Bible says in Habakkuk 2:2, have a vision, make it plain. So like really have a clear vision and write it down. Write it down exactly where you see yourself in the next 15, 20, 30 even years. If you're younger, maybe 50 years. Have a clear vision for your future, right? You need to know where you're going. So, because what that does, having a vision, what that does is it enables your mind to start coming up with solutions as to how do I get to this place. Next step is so important. You need to be able to forgive yourself. Forgive your past. You might have done something wrong. Maybe you took someone's pen 20 years ago and you still feel guilty about that. Forgive yourself because God has also forgiven you. Well, pray for forgiveness from God. And you know that God has said, you know, if we do ask for forgiveness, it doesn't matter what we've done, he will forgive us. And then you have to also forgive yourself for whatever you've done, any decisions you might have made that you felt were not the right decisions, things that you might have done that you felt were not, that wouldn't bring you closer to where you want to be. Anything that might be holding you back. For most of us, something is holding us back in our heart. We need to forgive ourselves and let go, and forgive others as well. It's so important. If someone else is the reason that you're holding on to something, and it might not necessarily be related to your money, but if you're holding on to any grudge with someone else, you need to let go as well. Then third, in tie with that second step of forgiveness, you need to also be able to take responsibility. Everything you see right now in your finances is directly your responsibility. So I know sometimes other people could have been involved, something could have happened that made things happen the way they did. We may think, oh, it's not completely my fault. I understand that completely. I totally do. And I have so many examples in my life. I'll give a quick one. When I got made redundant, I felt like it wasn't my fault. Why am I being made redundant? I've done good things. I've done all the right things. And all of a sudden now this is happening to me. I felt like I could blame. And then I took responsibility for that redundancy as well. I actually did. And when I was able to take complete responsibility, I was able to change that story. And that's the same for you. When you're able to take complete responsibility for anything, any situation you're in, you're able to change that, because then it means that you have the power to change it. If you keep blaming someone else, you keep complaining about it, or you keep trying to push it onto someone else, it means that person or that thing has power over your circumstance more than you do. And once you give your power away, then there's nothing you can do. You're completely helpless. If you keep on blaming someone else, then you can't ever change where you are. So it's so important for your advancement to take responsibility. So the next step is also, after you take responsibility, just be grateful. Bible talks about in everything, just give thanks. Be grateful for where you are. Be grateful for what you have, what you don't have, what you're going to have in the future. And if you're facing any challenges, be so grateful for them. Because before any breakthrough, there are challenges. Before the delivery of my children, I experienced quite some intense pain, before my kids were born. And even the 9 months before that was quite uncomfortable as well, So before anything great comes out, there's always some kind of challenges. So be grateful for your challenges, because it shows you that something great is coming. So the next step number 4 is to know your worth. And that is so important, especially if you're in business for yourself, you're self-employed or you're a business owner. It's so important for you to know your worth. And I was watching this Instagram video the other day, and this guy was asking this lady, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And she said, oh, without makeup, I'm a 5. With makeup, I'm a 6, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, we are all 1,000 million infinite. Our worth is infinite. We are created in the image of God. He breathed into us. He actually made us in his image, in his likeness. Then he puts our skin, dirt upon us to make us human beings, right? But originally, we were made in his image. If you go back to Genesis 1:1. So, and the Bible says we have the mind of Christ. So our worth is infinite. There is no scale of 1 to 10. There's no, I'm worth 100 or I'm worth 200 or I'm worth 1,000,000. No one can ever pay for your worth. So you have to know that deep down in your heart that I am worth so much more, so much infinite amount. Jesus Christ died for you. This is a hint as to how much you are so loved, how much you're worth. And it still doesn't even explain, our brains are not even able to comprehend our worth, because we can't comprehend completely how much God loves us. because and if we comprehend it completely, then we might have a glimpse as to how much we are worth, but we are worth an infinite amount. So it's important that you know that. And when you know that, you start treating yourself like that. And the way you treat yourself is the way other people will treat you too. If you treat yourself like, well, people will treat you too. Like, when you treat yourself like, I'm important, I am the, resurrected daughter of Christ, or resurrected son of Christ, child of Christ. I am, strong. I am amazing. I'm beautiful. I'm wonderful. I am inspired. I am born of the incorruptible seed. I am just amazing. Then people will treat you in the same way. So I'm not going to go too far on that, and just, to let you know, to know your worth, right? And your worth is infinite, just in case you were confused. And then from that, know, the value of money and the value of your time, right? And that's so important. So you know your worth. So you deserve the best. You deserve the best that you can give yourself. You deserve the best that of what God has for you. And the Bible talks about in Ephesians 1 chapter 1 verse 3 about how he has every spiritual blessing for us. Every spiritual blessing in the heavenly realm is already there for us. And we just have to access it and bring it down into our reality, right? We just have to access that and bring it down into our reality. And we're worth everything. So know your value. And then also, now back to money, know the value of money. And what I mean by that is, that you want to do something. Let me just give a clear example. You want to spend something, and then you see the amount, and you say, oh, I really want this toaster. I need a new toaster. I'll give you a simple example. I need a new toaster. Okay, go to the shop and I see this amount, and the amount is 50 pounds. 50 pounds for this toaster. I'm like, it's ridiculous. 50 pounds for a toaster? What? And I go get hysterical, right? Okay, then what do I do next? I start looking at all the price tags. I'm not even looking at toasters anymore. I'm looking at the price tags, and I'm saying 10 pounds. Okay. No, I'm thinking, and I've decided in my mind, toaster is worth 5 pounds. Okay, 5 pounds for a toaster. Now I'm looking for a toaster that's 5 pounds. And then I see this toaster, yeah, that works, right? And then I take the toaster because it's 5 pounds. But I came in to buy a toaster, not to spend 5 pounds. And there's a big difference. So when you decide, and especially when it comes to us, when we start thinking about investing in ourselves, and which is going to be my next point, it's like we focus on the price tag as opposed to the value of what we're spending on. So if you're focusing on the price, you might buy something that is inadequate. You might buy something that is not exactly what you want. And you might buy something that will not get you the result you want for as long as you want it, as long as you keep on focusing on the price, as opposed to the value that you're getting from what you're buying. Now, I'm not saying that you have to spend a lot of money on a toaster to get a good toaster. I'm not saying probably you can get a good toaster for 10 pounds. But if you do buy a toaster for £1 or 50p, just because it's 50p, then you might get a 50p worth kind of toaster. Now, if you focus on the toaster and you find the toaster that is worth that does what you want, and you find the toaster that gives you the value that you're looking for, then you now see the price and see, okay, it's 20 pounds. I budgeted for £5. How do I get this toaster for £5? And then that's the new question. When you're faced with like an issue or a decision-making process, a decision-making scenario, it's always important to focus on how do I, and not why. Why is this so expensive? But how do I get this great value in this toaster, and for something else, maybe for a different price? So it's about knowing the value of money and value of what you want. Then the next step is respecting what you have. while we are trying to gain more financially, it's also very important to respect what we already have, no matter if it's £1, 50p, or £1,000,000. We have to respect exactly what, and I kind of talked about that earlier. Respecting what we have is so important, because as we appreciate what we have, more of what we appreciate will come to us. And then next is self-belief, completely believing in yourself. The Bible talks about it in Mark, I can't remember where, but he said, Jesus said, if any of you say to this mountain and completely believe without having any doubt that it should be taken up from the earth and thrown into the sea, that it will happen. And when we do completely believe without any doubt that we can pay off this debt, that we can increase our income, that we can get the job that we want, that we can be the kind of parent we want to be, that we can do, Bridget said, I love them. Oh, thank you. But if you remember the verse, you can drop it in the chat, for reference. That if we truly believe that we can do what it is that God is calling us to do, Mark 11:23, yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. If we truly believe that we can do exactly what it is that God is calling us to do, without any doubt, that's complete belief, then it can be done. But what happens is we say, oh, I want to do this, but we don't truly believe that we can do it. So we start looking outside ourselves for something that will guarantee our results. We start looking outside ourselves for a vehicle that will guarantee our results. Can I invest in, this scheme or that scheme? Can I put my money here? Will that make me more money? What is the guarantee? Will I be sure that I'm going to make that money? And those kind of questions start popping up. And then it now becomes external. The result is based on everything outside us, or our environment, other people, other things, as opposed to us, because we believe that we can do it. And we believe that no matter what comes our way, we will be able to achieve our goal. So complete self-belief is so important. And then the next step is taking small steps. Thank you so much for that version, Joanne, for dropping it in the chat, guys. Joanne dropped in Mark 11:23. For assuredly, I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be removed and cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things he says will be done, he will have whatever he says. Guys, I'm not saying this. I'm just quoting Jesus. So if you doubt it, then literally you're saying that Jesus is lying. But Jesus says he's not a man, he's not going to lie. Neither is he a son of man that he should repent. So that's it. That's exactly, if you have 100% belief that what you're going to do, what you say that you want to do, then it will happen. Next thing is time, when it will happen, right? So taking small steps. Sorry, let's look at my notes. Taking small steps. That's another thing, so back to time, right? That was the next thing I was talking about, and steps. Time, sometimes we believe that, okay, I believe this right now. So tomorrow it should happen. Okay, tomorrow I check my bank. I'm still not a millionaire. I check my bank. I still have this debt. Why is it not happening? And then and then slowly doubt starts coming in. And be like, are you sure what Jesus said is true? Will it really work for you? I don't think it will work for you. And therefore it doesn't work for you, because you already have doubt and you think it's not going to work for you. And then you're diddly-dally, you're going back, being double-minded, and you don't really get the result that you want. So just taking small steps, knowing that if you keep on moving, take one step today, one step tomorrow, one step today, one step tomorrow, you'll get better and closer to where you want to go, wherever that is. And then the last step is action versus excuses. Are you going to be taking action, or are you going to be making excuses? There's always one is happening. Taking action or making excuses. You have to pick which one you're going to go for, and just never stop learning. If you're going to increase your income, you cannot stop learning, because once we stop learning, we literally die. Anything that stops starts to regress. You're either pushing forward or you're going backwards. Anything that stops starts to regress. If you leave a house alone and you lock the doors and you go on a holiday for 2 years, you come back, that house would have disintegrated without anyone doing anything to it. There'll be dust. The wood might have started coming apart. Things might have started, there will be creepy crawlies in your house. It would have started disintegrating. Anything that is left alone that doesn't progress will start to regress. Nothing hardly ever stays the same, including us. If you learned how to do long division, or let me say BODMAS. Who remembers that thing, BODMAS? I don't even remember what it is. Or you learned something in mathematics when you were in school, like the almighty formula or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Now, if you've never used the almighty formula, you never used BODMAS to do anything in the last 20 years, will you remember how to do it? It might be a bit hazy. But if you use it all the time, you maybe use it in your work, you use it in your business, you use it in your mind to do different things, brackets of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Yeah. If you use it to do things, then you would always remember how to do it. So I remember when I was taught the almighty formula in school. And that's, a simple example. But if whatever we learn, if we don't keep on using it, so we learned how to do, brackets, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Now, if you don't do any addition or subtraction for a while, for example, my daughter's learning maths. She's 5. She's learning maths. And if I leave her for this whole Christmas period and she doesn't do any reading, she doesn't do any math, she doesn't do any addition, any subtraction, by the time January comes, she probably would have forgotten how to do what she already knows how to do. Or she wouldn't remember as well as she knows now, right? So she has to keep on practicing so that she doesn't lose momentum. And that's the beauty of taking action and never stop learning. Always keep on, being able to keep our brains active and keep learning and keep pushing. And we have definitely come to the end. So I hope that helps. If you have any question, please let me know in the chat. So I'll just go over again how to make your money work for you in 2021. First, know what your credit is. If you are using credit, you're using debt. Remember what I said about credit and debt. It's actually the same thing, but because one is before you use it, the other one is after you use it. So after you use money, other people's money, it becomes debt. Or you have access to other people's money, they say it's credit. To me, it's the same thing. It should be a debt card. So if you do have debt, you do have credit cards or loans and that you want to pay off, I also shared how 3 different ways that you can pay off your money, but 2 that you can pay off faster, 2 ways that you can pay off faster, which is the snowball or the avalanche, based on your motivations. If you're easily motivated, or if you prefer you prefer to logic, you like to ensure that you're not spending as much in interest, so you pick the one that is work for you. We discussed about your 4 walls and knowing exactly where your money is going, knowing that your money is going to your 4 walls first before it goes to anything else. And also making sure that you're putting money towards yourself, paying yourself first. Because if you're not saving, then you're not earning anything, because all the money that you have will be going out to different places. And it's literally, you're just like a tunnel. You're just like an open tunnel, money coming in and money flushing out. But when you put in a system to start saving, you start taking some money out. Now, some questions may be, how do I save when I'm in debt? How do I save it? And if that's your question, definitely, I offered 30 minutes, just 30 minutes, and we're actually going to work on your plan for 2021. So if that is your question, we can work on that specific to you, because giving a broad example may not be relevant to you. Then the next thing, we talked about having a spending plan and knowing exactly why you are spending what you're spending. And that's so important, knowing why you're spending and being mindful of what you're spending for. It doesn't matter whether you have a little or you have a lot, right? And then, making sure that you're saving, putting some money aside to save. And then also that's for yourself, saving for your future. And then also we talked about investing and the three main vehicles that you can use to invest. There are a bit more than that, but those are the three most common ones. And you can start with the easiest, which is the stock market, which has the easiest route of entry. And then we spoke about increasing your earning potential. And you do that really by investing in yourself, investing in your education, in your knowledge, and learning how to apply that to yourself. And that can be simple. You can just literally by reading books, you're already investing in yourself. If you have an issue with health and you're reading a health book, you might learn a bit more about health, right? You have an issue with money, you're reading a money book, you might learn a bit more about your money. So read some books. That is and if you go to the library, you can get access to books in the library. So you can even get access to investing in yourself completely free, by going to the library and actually taking the action to read books. Where I do find people struggle is not saying that they don't have the time to read or they don't understand what they read. And if that is your issue, then you do need help. You need someone to explain to you what you're reading, right? Like, to explain to you to what you're reading. And just similar to Cornelius in the Bible and Peter, Cornelius was reading and studying, and he wanted revelation from God, but he did not fully understand, and God sent Peter to him to help him. Okay. And then we spoke about, our mindsets, and I shared like 10 tips that we can use to improve our mindset, from, forgiving yourself, being thankful, taking small steps, respecting what you have, knowing the value of money and knowing your worth, which is infinite, just in case you didn't know, having complete self-belief, taking full responsibility, having a vision, taking action as opposed to, having excuses. And that was condensed into like 2 minutes. If you have any questions, put that in the chat. Has this been helpful? It's been a very short time sharing like how we can make our money work for us in 2021. But if you have specific questions, please put it in the chat and let me know, has this been helpful to you? And second question is, has this been unhelpful to you? Has this been a complete waste of your time? I will also like to know that, because it helps me to improve, because we're moving into 2021, right? Thanks so much. This is my first time and was somewhat reluctant to join in. It was packed with so much knowledge. I'm really pleased and challenged. Oh, that's awesome. It's so great to have you. It's so great to have you, right? Now, the last thing that I want to share with you, I'm going to put down in the chat. My email, if you want. There's very little that we can do in 30 minutes, but we are 10 here right now. And if 10 of you book 30 minutes with me, that's 300 minutes. So I have to be mindful that I have the time to dedicate completely to everyone. That's why we're doing 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes, if you can send me an email, and I will book you in for complete 30 minutes of intensive, exactly based on these steps that we have discussed here, what you can do in 2021 based on these steps that we have discussed here. And we will talk about it on a high level in 30 minutes, and then you can use the rest of the year to take action on your own. Now, one thing that I wanted to share with you is, yes, Joanne, you can do that as well. Great. One thing that I wanted to share with you is this. 2021, I've been asking God, what is my word of the year? What's my word of the year? And I said I was going to share that with you. And for 2021, he gave me the word accountability. Accountability. And I've taken that on board, and I've been looking to invest in myself. I've spoken to several people, several mentors, and One second. Joanne says, do you teach business fundamentals and how to use my business? Exactly. Yes, we do. In fact, I have a different course that I do in conjunction with another business consultant that answers exactly this exact question, Joanne, exactly this exact question. So we can discuss that when you come on the call. So so he said to me, accountability. And I was like, okay, explain to me what this is. And so far I said to myself, right? So I've been looking and speaking to different mentors on who I wanted to work with in 2021, because I wanted, God has told me accountability for where he's taking me to. And I want to ensure that I am being accountable to someone so that I can do what accountability does. Is it literally, not like it teaches you anything, but it literally ensures that you're doing the right thing at the right time. You're taking the action that you want to take. So we have these steps. You want to save 10 pounds next week, but if you're not accountable to anyone, you might not do it, right? And for me, in my business, God said to me that accountability is the word of the year. And so I'm taking that action, and all the people that I'm speaking to, I do have to pay to work with them for them to keep me accountable. But it is such a great investment because I know I'm worth infinite. I know my worth is infinite. And so I'm choosing to, put myself and invest in myself in this way so that I can achieve my full potential. I know that I've not even come close to my full potential, but I know that I want to achieve my full potential, right? Now, what does accountability mean for Wealth from Little as a community? And I have it written down there? I think I do. I was researching this while I was speaking to God, I was researching this and I wrote down, I do actually, I have it in my book. 2020 Olympics, 2016 Olympics, right? Usain Bolt won 100. Yeah, Usain Bolt won the 100 meter race. And he came first and his time was 9.81 seconds. The person who came 8th, T. Bromwell, his time was 10.08 seconds. Now, between first and 10th, 9.81 seconds minus 10.006 seconds is less than a quarter of a second. Between first and 10th was a quarter of a second. Do you know how fast a second is? And you're telling me that Usain Bolt beat the 7 people, because there are 8 people in the race. He beat 7 people by a quarter of a second. And that was how much faster he was than the last person. But the second person was 9.89 and Usain Bolt was 9.81. And when I did the maths, I found out that Usain Bolt was 1% better than the person who came second, Justin Gatlin. He was 1% better. And what God was talking to me about accountability was that accountability helps you get 1% better every day. And you don't need that much to win gold. You don't need that much to win gold. But if you see, based on, this race, and I looked in golf, I looked at swimming, I looked at so many other competitive sports that have a time tracker, and the results are exactly the same. You can do your own research as well. The results are exactly the same. The difference between 8th and first was a quarter of a second. The difference between second place and first was less than 1%, 0.08 seconds. That was the difference between first and second. And what God was telling me was that where I want to go, where you want to go, where we want to go is literally a fraction of a second away. But what keeps us stuck is most of the time is the lack of accountability, lack of guidance, lack of help to push us to ensure that we are getting where we're going and we're not settling for where we don't want to be each year. Look back on the last 12 months, right? Simone says accountability kept me on track. Exactly, right, Simone? Yeah, exactly. And Simone and I work one-on-one together, so I know what she's talking about. Look back on the last year of your life and see where you are now and where you were last year. And are you pleased with the progress, or would you like it to be drastically different this time next year? And if that's what you want, then you need that accountability, that guidance, and that help to keep you moving forward. And so, and God was telling me, and I'm sharing with you, that we have to master ourselves to get 1% better. And sometimes we settle because we're around people who are already settling, right? We're around people who are already settling. So so it feels like we're already doing enough. We're doing more than enough. But God did not call us to settle. We remember at the beginning of this class, I shared to you that your wealth building journey is completely different to anybody else's wealth building journey. It's completely unique. So just because someone else is settling has nothing to do with you, nothing whatsoever to do with you. Your journey is completely 100% your responsibility, not anybody else, not anyone else's, not your mother's, not your father's, not your children's, not your anybody else. It's 100% your responsibility. So how would it be? What would you think? How would you feel if you knew that the difference between where you are now and the success you imagine for yourself is just 1%? How would you feel if you knew that it was just 1% away and all you had to do was get 1% better at everything? If you're 1% better at in saving just 1% more of your income, like you can't really do that's that's achievable, right? Just saving 1% better in your health, 1% better at drinking more water, just drinking one extra glass of water in a day, or one extra sip of water. Maybe one extra sip is 1%, right? Just taking 1% more water if you want to be hydrated like I do. And how would it feel if you knew that getting to where you want to get to was just 1% away? Your dream was just 1% away. But just because we haven't mastered ourselves, we haven't mastered who we are, how we our feelings and our emotions, we just keep stuck in that cycle and we keep remaining just below activation. I'll give you another example before I go. Boiling water. Boiling water boils at 100 degrees. And once that happens, it starts evaporating, right? And you see it's steam. It becomes steam. It starts to rise and it flows. At 99 degrees, it's not going to boil. It might be hot, but it's not going to boil. At 98 degrees, it's not going to boil. At 97 degrees, it's not going to boil. At 98, 99, any degree less than 100, it's not going to boil. But once it boils, it becomes steam. Once it gets to 100, it boils, it becomes steam, and you have boiled water. So that extra 1 degree between 99 and 100 makes all the difference. If it doesn't get to 100, it might as well be 70 degrees or 60 or 40, right? Because it's not going to boil. And so, and then what happens when it becomes steam? Just thinking about it right now. When hot water becomes steam, that extra 1 degree, you can use the steam as energy, right? You can use the steam to power as steam energy. People use steam to power trains for many years, right? People use steam to power so many things, and it actually becomes an energy source that can create electricity, that can create locomotives, right? That can create motion and movement and progress for people. Just thinking about that just 1%. And if that water decided, I'm just going to stay at 99 because 99 is good enough, we would never have all those results. Okay, I'm going to end there because we've spoken for way too much. We've spoken for a long time already. Now, if you do want accountability in 2021, and you would like to invest in yourself to work with me, when you do book a call, let me know that is what you want to do. That is what you want to do. Apart from that, everyone here has sent my email address. You can book a call. You can book a call with me and we will have 30 minutes together working out your money plan for 2021. And if you want to speak to anyone who has worked with me, Simone is on the call right now. Let me know and I can put, if you have any questions, I can send her the questions. She can answer them so it's not like biased based on me. So, and I'm going to end there. I hope this has been very beneficial. Before we go, as I always do, put in the chat something that you have learned today, because I always say this, information without understanding is useless. So I want to know that you understand what I've said. I want to know that you've taken something that you understand away. Anything, it can be anything that you've picked. Just put it in the chat, and then and we shall go. We shall say Happy Christmas, and I'll say to you Happy New Year. I'll send you emails, of course, to wish you Happy New Year. And while you're putting that in the chat for me, and please do put it in the chat, because one, it also encourages me, because if I see nothing in the chat, I'm going to think that nobody learned anything and I've just been talking, and that's not nice. My first book comes out next week, Tuesday. It's going to be on sale for $1. I'm a co-author with multiple people. We're about 14 authors on the book, and we're talking about how we experienced something and we used faith to walk through that. So the book is called Fiercely Faithful, and it's just talking about how we had faith in God through our challenges. Some of the people talk about health challenges, marriage challenges. Mine is financial challenges. And other people have other, challenges with narcissistic husbands, different stories, and they are really, really amazing. It's just a book full of testimonies. It comes out on December 15th for $1, on sale for the first 24 to 48 hours. So when it does come out, I'm going to send you the link. Please support, buy it for $1. You can also buy it for a friend. It could be a nice Christmas present for a friend. And $1 is about 73 pence in the UK. Like it's such a great gift for that price. And then, the price will go up full price. It comes out as an ebook first, and then the paperback will come out in January, but it comes out as an ebook on December 15th. I would appreciate if you all buy. Great. So let me look through the chat as we head off. Treat money as my best friend. Yeah, exactly. Because how would you treat your best friend? You'd probably talk to them often. You probably, want to see them. You probably want to know how they are doing. So you'd open your bank and say, how am I doing? Oh, not doing so well. Okay, what can I do to make things better for you? Put some money in savings. Okay, I'll do that. Great, that's awesome. That 1% effort makes a world of exactly. Honestly, if you check all the different sports in the Olympics, and this was the one I used, right? 1% difference between gold and last. I'm not even talking gold and silver. Gold and last. And look at how celebrated Usain Bolt is in athletics, because he was 1% better than Gatlin from the USA, right? 1% better, and he's been celebrated so much. It's amazing. 1% better, and what gets you there is consistency, accountability, guidance. That's what gets you to being 1% better. Anything that stalls starts to regress. Yeah, exactly. If you're not progressing, it's regressing. Nothing ever really stays the same. Even you just look at your food, right? Look at your food. If you leave your food out and you come back, it's going to be spoiled after a week, right? Then daily importance of accountability, understand the true value of time and money. Yeah, exactly. The key is accountability. Yes. To forgive myself. Yes, please do. Jesus has forgiven you, so you don't need to punish yourself anymore. It's so important to forgive yourself. If that is something that you're dealing with when you book the call with me, let me know in the email that that's something that you're dealing with, and then maybe we can focus on that, because if you don't forgive yourself, it will be hard to move forward. Maybe we can focus on that section. Let me know in that email when you send me the email. Very insightful. Oh, thank you. Saving is good, but investing is key. It's so key. I'll tell you a funny story. I went to the bank once and when I was 24, and I told the guy, I have all these goals. I want to buy a house. I want to retire rich. I want to do all these things. What should I do? I'm saving. And he said, just keep saving. Worst advice ever. Lunko says, know your worth, value versus price tag. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you can get something that the price is really cheap, really small, but the value is immense, right? Like this call is free. The price tag is 0. There's nothing cheaper than zero unless I gave you money. In fact, it's cheaper than zero because I'm giving you 30 minutes free in addition, right? And the value is immense. I hope the value is immense for you, right? So value versus price tag, there's a difference, focusing on value as opposed to price tag. Okay. Looking forward to getting the book. Yay! Me too. I'm so excited about the book. Excited and definitely get the book. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. You have my email, and you can book if you'd like 30 minutes free. You can book a call with me. Send me an email saying I attended as your title, and I see all your names here, so I will look out for you. Great. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Thank you for staying with me all this time. I'm glad that it helps you. I look out to, continue to, we'll continue to chat over emails. I'll still send you more emails before the end of the year. But if I don't speak to you before the end of the year, Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful Christmas. And 2021, may it be amazing for you. May all your dreams come true. May everything that you set your heart to do, may you do them. May God continue to surprise you. May He bless you with all the help that you need to get to where you want to go to. May your vision be clear. May you have no confusion. May, God's face illuminate everything that you want to do so that you know exactly what you should be doing, when you should be doing it, how you should be doing it. In Jesus' name, I hope that everything will be great for you. Yes, there will be a replay. I will send it out to you shortly after this call, maybe before the end of the day. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for this session. Continue to be blessed. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Christmas and see you all next year.